Buckle up, adventurers. Every year, hundreds of brave climbers attempt to conquer Mount Everest, but they're not just battling freezing temperatures and heart-stopping drops. This mighty mountain is shrouded in secrets hidden behind 29,000 feet of razor-sharp ice and rock. Get ready for the wildest discoveries and scariest truths lurking on the highest peak. Did you know Sir Edmund Hillary was the first to reach the summit back in '53? But the real story begins way earlier. Imagine the British Empire's reputation on the line as they raced against time and each other to be the first to conquer both north and south sides of this mountain giant in the early 20th century. Get ready for the ultimate tale of adventure and determination. The world's top dogs were back in the game, and their eyes were set on the mysterious third pole, Mount Everest's mighty peak. George Mallory was a seasoned pro with a hunger for glory. In 1921, he joined an elite team that mapped out the Everest terrain, laying down crucial clues for future daredevils. But this was just the warm-up for Mallory. His sights were set on claiming the crown himself. 1 year later, in a jaw-dropping feat, he led a daring expedition up Everest's north face, reaching an incredible 27,300 feet of altitude, a height that would leave even the bravest climbers speechless before they had to turn back. Buckle up, folks. The higher you go on Everest, the thicker the danger gets. Literally. Above 26,000 feet, it's called the death zone, and that name isn't just a warning sign, it's a chilling reality. This is where most climbers bite the dust while trying to reach the top. And the reason? It's not just about running out of oxygen. There are eerie hints that something much more mysterious is playing its part in their demise. When George Mallory made his history-making attempt, he and his team astonishingly pushed 300 feet into this death trap before deciding it was time to retreat. Here's a game changer. When Sir Andrew Irvine and George Mallory embarked on this record-breaking climb, they were pioneers in using bottled oxygen to tackle Everest's thin air, which gets tougher to breathe as you ascend higher and higher. Although the team didn't make it all the way to the top, they still smashed the altitude record for climbers. Mallory got an astonishing 27,000 feet above sea level, while Irvine's teammates took it even further, an additional 800 feet. That is, until their breathing gear gave out. Fast forward to 1924, and you'll find the British were back at it again, determined to conquer the world's highest peak. Fast forward to June 4th, when Lieutenant General Edward Norton shattered records, reaching a staggering 2,826 feet. But 3 days later, Mallory was back at it, determined to conquer the peak and regain his title as the record holder. As the deputy leader for this mission, Edward Norton once again lent his expertise. However, just like last time, things didn't go entirely according to plan. Team leader Charles Bruce fell seriously ill, leaving Norton to climb while Mallory chose an unexpected partner for his summit push, relatively inexperienced Andrew "Sandy" Irvine. But here's the interesting part. Although Irvine wasn't a seasoned climber, he had one crucial skill that would turn out to be super valuable for their adventure together. But just because Bruce was too unwell to take charge didn't mean their adventure came to a halt. Mallory stepped up as the new lead climber, and Norton trusted her decision completely. The day after, June 6th, Mallory, Irvine, and 8 porters set off from Base Camp 4, already on their way to the next big stop, Camp 5. By evening, they had made it, and everything seemed perfect: calm weather and high spirits. Next morning, June 8th, Mallory and Irvine hit the trail again, claiming to have reached the rock band at the mountain's peak base by 8 a.m. But here's an interesting fact. Just a day earlier, Noel Odell discovered one of Irvine's oxygen cylinders with its crucial mouthpiece missing. The team had gotten wind that Mallory and Irvine were making their big move, but when they scanned the horizon where George said they'd be, there was no sign of the duo, just an eerie blank slate. A mysterious veil of mist hung low over the northeastern ridge where our climbers had vanished into thin air. As the fog finally lifted around noon, Odell's eyes locked onto 2 tiny figures in the distance, trudging towards the base of the mountain, ready to tackle the final stretch. But that was the last time anyone laid eyes on Mallory and Irvine. They just disappeared. Odell didn't waste any time. He rushed back to their tent, only to find it ripped apart like a tornado had passed through. The mystery around George Mallory and Andrew Irvine's disappearance deepened for decades, with their bodies remaining hidden on Mount Everest until finally uncovered in 1999. But here's where it gets really intriguing. While we found Mallory's body, Irvine's was never discovered. And what adds another layer of speculation to this story is that a personal item was missing from Mallory when his remains were recovered. The photo of his wife he'd planned to leave at Everest's summit as a symbol of their love. So, did Mallory and Irvine indeed conquer the mountain nearly 3 decades before Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay made history? But here's the thing. What if I told you the mountain itself is hiding secrets? The unforgiving terrain of Everest holds countless mysteries, and one of them might just explain why those climbers vanished into thin air. Every night, this mighty mountain transforms into a haunting scene, with ear-piercing shrieks and deafening crashes echoing through its icy landscape. Scientists say it's all about the shifting ice due to sudden temperature drops, but for those who've braved the extreme conditions, it sounds like something far more sinister. The mountain itself letting out an angry roar, almost as if warning humans to stay away. Get ready for one of the most mind-blowing mountaineering stories ever. English adventurer Eric Shipton, a seasoned climber who had conquered mountains globally and even tamed Everest multiple times, made an astonishing find back in 1951 during what seemed like a normal expedition to the highest peak. At an elevation of over 15,000 feet, high up where it's icy cold and super thin air, Eric stumbled upon gigantic human-like footprints frozen in the snow. It was as if someone or something had walked by just moments before. Doctor. Meet Michael Ward's bizarre buddy, a gigantic footprint so wide. We're talking at least 2 normal feet combined. The toes were all twisted and misfit-like, making us wonder if this mysterious creature only rocked 3 toes instead of the usual 5 humans have. This wild discovery set off a firestorm of questions. What kind of being could have left such colossal marks? They looked almost human, but size and shape said otherwise, leaving us stumped. Buckle up, explorers. Let's dive into this mind-blowing mystery. On this icy terrain, a climber would have left behind distinct shoe prints. No way to hike around without proper footwear in freezing temps, or you'd risk instant frostbite. But wait, these weren't animal tracks either. The shape and size screamed something entirely different. It sounded like a bizarre humanoid creature, strolling with its bare feet on ice, completely unfazed by the frigid temperature. A single print could have been dismissed as an odd depression in the ice. But here's where things get really interesting. Multiple prints were discovered, all aligned in a straight line, as if whoever made them was on a mission. Imagine tracking a mysterious trail for an entire mile. That's exactly what Shipton and Ward did when they followed these unexplained footprints. The fact that they kept going in a straight line suggests our unknown friend wasn't just wandering aimlessly. It looked like it was on a mission. Now, some of you might be thinking, Yeti, and it's not entirely far-fetched too. The prints do seem to match up with the legend of this elusive creature. But what if I told you they were headed straight for Menlong Basin and its icy glacier? What could have possibly drawn this enigma there? Was it a hunt for food or something more sinister? The mystery deepens. Buckle up, folks. For decades, Sherpas have whispered tales about an enigmatic creature living deep in this mountain range. And now, we might finally have proof. Those astonishing footprints are making scientists' heads spin. Could they be the long-sought confirmation of this mysterious beast's existence? Theories are flying left and right. Some experts think it's a clever prank gone wild, labeling it a hoax, while others are convinced by the team's united front. But here's the question. What would drive an entire expedition to orchestrate such an elaborate ruse? Let's dive into what really makes this mystery so mind-blowing. You've got Sir Hugh Shipton, an elite climber, and his team, all of whom were total legends in their own right. They didn't need to prove anything or seek the spotlight. So, when they noticed these bizarre footprints, you know it was more than just a passing curiosity. It genuinely had them stumped. And guess what? Even though Ward proposed a possible explanation that Sherpas with unusual foot conditions could have been responsible, it still didn't sit right with this crew of seasoned adventurers. Let's dive into this mystery. Imagine hiking up Mount Everest with nothing but socks on your feet, no shoes to protect you from the harsh terrain. That's exactly what one Sherpa was doing when he stumbled upon some massive footprints in 1953. The size of these prints is insane. They're way too big for any human or known animal living around the mountain. Now, there's no concrete proof that Yetis created these giant prints, but here's the thing. Scientists have been trying to find an explanation for decades and still can't. This leads us to ask, could it be possible that these mysterious creatures are roaming around Everest? The local Sherpas have long reported spotting Yetis in their vicinity, and other mountaineers have shared similar experiences of finding huge prints. When you consider the reliable photo evidence, it makes you wonder, is there a connection between these elusive beings and one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries, the disappearance of Mallory and Irvine on Everest? Imagine climbing Mount Everest, pushing your limits, and reaching new heights. But what if something unexpected showed up on the mountain? Could it be a legendary creature like the Yeti, or just a clever trick? The mystery of Mallory and Irvine's disappearance still hasn't been solved, and we're left with unanswered questions. Let us know in the comments, do you think there's more to the story than meets the eye? Let's keep the learning party going. Hit that like button if this video was your cup of knowledge tea, and turn on notifications to get notified when we spill new educational goodness next. If you're feeling extra enthusiastic, consider joining our community by subscribing to our channel. We can't wait to share more mind-blowing facts with you.